So now let's talk about qualification. Qualification stands for isolating, one specific part of your image. And by the way, that it's used a lot when you want to create specific looks, when you want to isolate maybe skin tones or mask or something specific. And this is part of the secondary grade, as said before. We're gonna take a look at that on this image and then on another one with skin tones to have a better understanding of this. So I'm going to deactivate the window layer just to have a clear version of this. I want to reset this and rename it qualifier, and I want to go into the qualifier right there. So what is the qualifier and how it works? So basically it has a selection range here on the right side, and this selection range is basically the range of tweaks that you can do on this color selection, the methodology of selecting colors, and this two little guy here will help you a lot, making a really fine selection, the invert selection, and then on the matte finesse, so on fine-tuning your selection there, you have all these tweaks that we're gonna see and all these other modes if you want to, I don't know, cover holes on the color selection, or if you want to specific how the hole are in the selection, the iteration, the black clip and the white clip, that is the exact same thing that you find there, but for these matte finesse, shrink or grow. If you ever worked with green screen, you may know what he's talking about. So when the selection creates little dots or holes, this will help you fixing all these things. I normally use for like the 70-80% of the image the HSL methodology. That is the most accurate in terms of using contrast, RGB and luminance data. So you have your RGB, your hue, your color spectrum here of the selection range. You have your saturation here and your luminance here, and you can choose to not use some of this. That sometimes it's really good if you have a monochromatic image or image with really few colors. Then you have the RGB way, just if you want to focus on colors and nothing more. Not super accurate, but really great on few ways. If you have just monochromatic, not a monochromatic image, but if you have just image without lots of differences between shadowy and white areas. Then you have the luminance mode that will focus just on the luminance areas. So if you want to, I don't know, take just the black parts, and by the way, to see what you're picking, just activate the highlight wand tool. If you just want to focus on, I don't know, darker areas and not caring about saturation and colors, you just have to tweak that. It's really cool, even that on some ways. Then you have the 3D methodology, and 3D methodology is really great if you want to be super accurate just on specific colors, because you'll be able with this color picker to take just specific color and add them to your selection at every click. And yeah, that's great if you want to make a really clean tonal range. But by the way, I'm gonna reset this and start with an HSL. So with a HSL, that it's surely not the best one for this type of image, you can start by using this color picker that is the most common used one, or this one that works on a pretty different way. So this one you can just press on an area and it will select depending on the color area, and you can just also drag it in the image. So you can just say, take a image range that starts from there and finish there. So it will take everything that is inside that area. And I'm saying that the HSL it's not great for this type of image because it's really monochromatic. But by the way, you can see this in a better way just by dragging it like this. As you can see, it's filling up the selection as I move my mouse, keeping it clicked. So it's like selecting a range. And by doing this, he is selecting a U part inside my image, a saturation part, and a luminance part. By doing this, I can, keep tweaking it for, having the best selection, or I can just, select a random part that it works for me, like this one, and then going manual. And by going manual, I mean going tweaking the center and finding the greatest center for our color that maybe focusing on blues is there. Maybe I want to open the range of our blues, or I want to be closer to just these cyan blues. I can soft that, I can soft the selection. I can also go into saturation and tweak my lows if I want to make just a selection on these highlighted areas. And even on the luminance, same thing, I can decide which areas I want. Just to be quick and to understand it really easily, I'm doing this super fast selection. And now we want to, start applying our clean and the noise to, remove our messiness from our image. You always want to have a great selection just with this tool. But this, matte finesse will play a really great part during the finalization of your selection. Another thing that you want to do is using, this tool. If you want to fine tune some areas, you may want to pass it over there, over some of your areas. It will fine tune everything that you selected, or at the opposite part with the minus will deselect some of your areas. So when you come to this part, you start, cleaning blacks and cleaning whites. So by cleaning whites, it will start cleaning the white, dots, the white areas in that way. And by cleaning black, it will do the exact opposite thing. So you want to play with this two at the initial point, and then you want to play with the noise. Then the noise will clean all that noise up. As said, this is not the best tool, the HSL, for this image, but yeah, you understand how that works. Then with the blur radius, we will blur that a bit, and going there on the shoe, we can make few tweaks even there to change how we interpolate this selection, and it works in the exact same way. So just to let you understand how fast we could go with the right tool for this image, for the analog, let's jump into the luminance one. So with the luminance one, we want to reset it, and we want to focus just on this part. And we are just selecting this medium highlight part. So we want to exclude the lows. We want to exclude some part of the highs. And pretty much we've done the same thing in a few seconds. If you want a higher range, we can tweak it with the RGB. So just going with the RGB there and there. Same thing, you just have to find the right one for the right scene. I guess for this one, we will stay with the RGB just to be fast. And I'll be denoising this, and I'll be cleaning the whites a bit. You want to lose time in this part because you want to deselect what you don't want, and you want to select what you actually want. So yeah, maybe let's try even with the 3D to have a higher range of methods. Yeah, maybe the 3D is the best one. Yeah, for sure. So let's make a quick denoise here. Super quick denoise here. And yeah, by doing this, we are selecting a portion, a range of colors with the qualifier. And this is great because right now, if we uncheck our magic wand or highlight there, we know that we have a selection just in that area, and we can start tweaking, I don't know, with everything, with colors, with modifiers, and we are applying our modification just to that qualifier selection. So we took a really, you know, strange image for a selection because it's monochromatic, but you get that with the qualifier we can just modify a few hairs. As you can see, her hair and the pants didn't change. But by the way, let's make a jump back and let's take an image with some skin tones. So maybe let's take, yeah, maybe our raw one. Our raw one is good too. Not about the skin tones, but about this hair on her face. So I'm gonna, you know, go there, press high for input and O for output there. I'm gonna take just the video and I'll place it there, and I'm gonna fill it. So right time and scaling and fill. And with Thar, I want to make it 50% slower. So let's make it like this. Okay. So let's make a really fast grade with LUT. So I'll be applying a fast LUT. And yeah, I'll tweak the contrast a bit. Just to be fast and to start, you know, selecting everything with our qualifier. So let's jump to the qualifier. I want to also add some saturation. Yeah. And let's jump to the qualifier. And we want to select just this blue area. So let's select this, going to highlight. And as you can see, we are selecting just this little area. And by doing this, we can, you know, clean the black just a bit and clean the white just a bit and play with the noise. And with this selection, the cool thing is that we can start tweaking, you know, colors around it with the offset and changing just that area. We want to, you know, erase the blues. We can move just on the opposite side of the blues like this. We want to add some more cyan. We can do that. And the cool thing is that you can use this even, you know, as a mask if you want to work with layer. We will see on the next episode about layer node. I want to give you a quick preview just to let you understand how it's important to use qualifier with layers. So pressing Option L, I'm gonna create a layer. And by the way, I'm gonna create a layer and do the mask directly on the layer, a really quick mask. So layers work, we'll talk about that, but layers work like Photoshop layers. So you'll be placing one layer above the other. Normally the nodes are one after the others, but layers works just as one above the others. So if I make a selection with my qualifier, I can just, you know, change everything that is below this selection and having this, you know, not attached from my tweaks from my modification. So I can crank the gain on the magenta around the green, but my selection remained blue, as you can see. So I'm going to through the magenta there, and I'm tweaking the gain down, but my selection stays there. I can tweak it also a bit, denoising it, and yeah, we can also create another layer node with Option L and make, I don't know, another selection on interface, just there. And we can make that, by the way, with 3D, like this, cleaning this a bit. And we can also start working together with windows. We can also put windows there, and you will have a windows working with your qualifier. Soften this out a bit and also tracking it. Going into the window, I'll track it after and before. So we know that we are just working in a specific area that is delimited by the circle. So maybe on this area I want to go on the opposite side, adding some cyan too. And yeah, we did some great selection. We can also add another layer node and play with the qualifier just with the luminance, with these neon bars. These are great for neon bars. Look at the luminance. They took just the luminance, signs. So we know that we have a selection of just the neon sign, and just look at how accurate it is with the hair. So you just have to use the right selection range for the right image. So luminance, obviously, for the luminance part, 3D for all these videos with lots of colors, RGB if you just want to focus on colors and not on the luminance, on saturation on the blacks. The HSL, it's the most common one that you want to use as the first one, but yeah, you just have to tweak it. You just have to make tryouts in your image, but normally I start with the HSL and then I go for the other ones. Obviously, if I know that I'm working on something like this, like neon sign, I'll go with luminous straightforward. Then maybe I want to crank up the gain a bit on the cyan side and add just on this selection the glow. Maybe a little more, that's too much. But yeah, you can do whatever you want with the qualifier and the layer mask. So by doing this, as we are deactivating this, you see that playing with the qualifier and the layer nodes, you are creating masks just above your node, and every mask basically start from the basic node, that it's like the background node. So it's like that if I'm creating another layer node now, everything is like our previous node, so our background node. And by creating more layers and playing with them with the qualifier, we're just adding things to our image, and we're just creating even more depth. So it's pretty important that you understand this and you start playing with this a lot into your image, and never forget that you can use it with Windows and with everything else, being creative. But yeah, as said, each one of these play a cool part for the right images, obviously, and just do these little tweaks while you're selecting to have a great selection on every layer, and you'll be able to create depth, and you'll be able to create great composition just by using qualifier and few layer nodes.